there, everyone. It's another day, and we have here another opportunity to learn something great. Okay, so with that, please lend me your ears, your heart, and your mind for just a couple of minutes because I am going to share, I am going to discuss a very relevant topic to our course. And by the way, if just in case you will be going to hear some dog sounds or some music in the neighborhood, I deeply apologize. I live in a very busy neighborhood. Like a lot of houses are around here in my house, so their noise is actually beyond my control. But don't worry, I will make my voice very clear so that we can have an in-depth discussion of our topic. And I believe you will not be going to see me throughout the video because I don't have that kind of feature here in my laptop. So you will just hear my voice and the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, but without further ado, let's start our lesson and let's make your time productive. Okay, now let's start here. So we are group 5 and I am one of the members of group 5 and we are tasked to report to expand the content of lesson 2 chapter 2 lesson 2. Okay, now let's have here the members. We have here me, yours truly. We also have here Miss Jenilyn Hilia and we also have here Miss Juvie Ombog. Oh, okay, now this chapter will tackle about the dimensions as well as the guidelines in designing a curriculum. Right? Because it's very important that we know the dimensions. It's very important that we are very well acquainted with the elements so that the curriculum maker, or let's just say the teachers, will be able to know how that curriculum will address the needs of the students. That's the very important part of designing a curriculum. But before we go deeper, let us have here a review of what is a curriculum design first. Curriculum designs provide clear relationships between and among the different elements of the curriculum. For example, the objectives, the contents, activities, and evaluation. So this curriculum designed, this will help or this will enable the curriculum maker to know how to systematically organize the elements of the curriculum in order to be a successful curriculum. And if it's a very successful curriculum, although we cannot say that a curriculum will really be perfect because everyone has its flaws or everything has its flaws, but effective in the sense that it will address the needs of the students and it's really helpful to the learner's needs. Okay, now let's start here discussing the dimensions of the curriculum designed. First one here is the scope. From the word itself, scope, I guess we are very familiar with this one is. It means coverage. It means it's like the boundary. It starts from here and it ends from here. So that's what we call scope. And according to Tyler, scope is defined as all the contents, topics, learning experiences, and organizing threads that comprise the educational plan. And it does not only refer to the cognitive content, it doesn't only cover the subjects to be tackled, but it also covers the affective and psychomotor contents. What topics which promotes or which molds or which will mold the affective and psychomotor abilities of the students? Because if we're going to think about the scope, we are just going to say, oh, scope, you mean the topics that you're going to memorize, the topics that you're going to be familiar with? No, it's not just the cognitive content we are aiming to sharpen, but we are also aiming to cover the affective and psychomotor contents. That is why in the objectives, uh, if we're going to base on Blossom's taxonomy, it's very important to have the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain in your objectives because the educational plan targets the cognitive, those three, because they are very essential to the overall growth and learning of the student. So let's just take it into simple terms. Scope, it's the coverage of the curriculum. But coverage not just in the cognitive content, but affective psychomotor, as well as the learning experiences and the organizing threads in the whole curriculum. Now let's have here words that describe curriculum. First one here is broad. Second one is limited. Third one here is simple. And last one here is general. Broad in the sense that it covers cognitive, it covers affective, it covers the learning experiences. So in that sense, it's really broad, right? Because it doesn't just focus on one specific element or one specific factor, but it covers all the essential or crucial factors in the educational plan. So in that sense, it's broad. But why that here it says that it's limited? Limited in the sense that although it's broad, we cannot cover everything. Still, there has to be a limitation when it comes to creating a curriculum. We need to be limited as to where or what principles we should use so that we will not be able to go further to other not relevant, or let's just say unrelevant topics, or unrelevant how should I say, principles or factors, right? So limited here in the sense that it only covers, or it only includes the relevant factors, the relevant elements, the relevant contents, the relevant activities to the student's needs. Next one here is simple. Simple in the sense that Mm, well, actually, curriculum design, it's like a spiral progression. Everything starts from the simple or from the basic ones. So simple in the sense that it should be simple so that it's very easy for the teachers to be guided using this curriculum guide, right? Because if you're going to make a very complex curriculum design, that will not help the teacher and the students. That will just confuse them. That will just add burden to them by learning. So it has to be simple too. And lesson here, it has to be general. It has to be general in the sense that it applies to all the students with that kind of learning needs. So those are the words that best describe the word curriculum: broad, limited, simple, and general. Now let's have here the scope of the curriculum. So it's divided into chunks, which is called the units, subunits, and chapters. And each unit has its own functions and it has its own relevance to the curriculum. So units, it's the largest chunk, and then followed by the subunits, and then under the subunits will be the chapters. So in this case, it's like, how should I say, it's like a deductive approach. From the bigger side, or from the bigger picture, we are going to deduct everything. We are going to cut everything into parts. We are going to chunk all the parts so that it actually, that is why it's divided. That is why curriculum is actually it's described as simple, because we are going to, it's very important to have a general overview, and then we are going to develop different parts out of that. Okay, so next one here, second one dimension here is the sequence. Of course, sequence is very important, because if the curriculum itself is not sequenced, it's not well organized, I think it does not aid the learning and the teaching process. It will only give, as what I've said or what I've mentioned before, it will only be a burden. It will be an additional problem. Because if it's not sequenced, I believe that there is no direction and it's very useless to use that kind of curriculum. So in order to provide continuous and cumulative learning, a vertical relationship among the elements of the curriculum provides sequence. From the word itself, vertical relationship. Because if you're going to visualize a vertical relationship, everything has to be in order so that the flow will be very smooth. It will be very continuous. It will be very, and that actually plays a very crucial role in the success of the curriculum design. If everything is well organized, then that is everything is well organized, well sequenced, and it's really aligned, that curriculum design has a very big chance or probability of being successful. Contents and experiences are arranged in hierarchical manner, or let's just say from the top to the bottom. For example, if you're going to visualize what is hierarchy, it's from the queen, king, queen, and then all the members below. So it's like a pyramid. So, on the manner of the developmental patterns of growth of the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. So, we still have to consider those three factors of the developmental growth of the learners. That is why we have to organize everything so that the curriculum design will be very successful in addressing the needs of the students. Now, according to Smith, Stanley, and Shore, he introduced four principles for sequence. First one here is the simple to complex learning. Well, from the word itself, simple to complex, as what I've said before, that curriculum designed or a curriculum, it's like a spiral progression. It's like a ladder. It's a step by step. You cannot go to the highest part of the ladder if you are not going to go here from the very basic part or from the lowest ladder. So that means it's very important to start from the basic or from the foundation contents and experiences before you are going to progress or proceed to the more complicated topics. That is why it's very important, for example, it's very important for a student to learn how should I say the sounds of the alphabet. If you're going to look about the formative years of the students or of a learner, of a child, it's very important for them to be first. For example, you must be acquainted with the sounds of each letter in order for you to proceed to the next activity, which is associating sound of each letter to create a word, right? So it's like step by step. You cannot you cannot go immediately to level 3 uh if you didn't experience or if you didn't accomplish level 1 and level 2. It must be simple to complex learning because there is no shortcut when it comes to learning. Next one here is prerequisite learning. There are fundamental things to be learned ahead, like letters before words, words before phrases, and phrases before sentences. And this prerequisite learning, it's actually related to simple and complex learning because simple learning is the foundation and it's actually considered as a prerequisite learning. And prerequisite learning is very helpful for you in order to understand the more complicated and relevant topics. Next one here is whole to part learning. The overview before the specific content or topics. It's a deductive approach. We are going to have a big picture and out of it we are going to imagine what will be the specific situations, what will be the specific contents to be tackled, right? So it's like dividing a whole part of the curriculum into chunks in order to better understand the flow and how well organized the elements are. The meaning can be very well understood if everything will be taken as a whole. And next one here, chronological learning. This principle is closely allied to history, political science, or world events. Time is the factor to be considered. Chronological learning, it also means just very not really completely the same, but it sounds like, or not sounds like, but it means like um the organization of the whole curriculum design or the sequence. So if we're going to talk about the chronological order, it has to follow, for example, first, second, third. So if you have to learn the sounds of the letters first before you're going to learn the words. Before you're going to learn the phrases, you must study the words. So that's actually the chronological order. Okay? And if we're going to simply visualize this dimensioned sequence is how well organized, how well aligned all the elements and all the factors in a curriculum designed. Okay, so I guess that's my last part because my other members are also going to discuss the next topic. So that would be all. So that would be all. And thank you. I hope you learned something from my report.